Now, I really like the look of those old industrial style machine ID tags, and I've always thought it would be really cool to create some of those to commemorate each of the projects that I've worked on this channel. If you're new here, welcome to Mooseworks. This is a channel where I like to build some fabricated projects, and so today we're gonna go through and make some labels to commemorate some of my favorite projects that I've done on this channel. Now, in order to do this project, I needed some sort of laser engraver. And so Creality reached out to me and offered up the Falcon A1 laser engraver machine. And I thought, heck yeah, that's perfect. If you're only interested in the industrial ID tag build portion of this video, then go ahead and go to this timestamp here. However, if you're setting up a Creality laser engraver, I go through the full unboxing and setup of this machine in this section here. And so I definitely suggest you stay tuned to see all the details, because I do encounter some challenges and I go through how I solve those. Let's open it up. So Creality sent this to me. It arrived in this packaging specifically. It seems pretty heavy. I'd say it's about 40 pounds. It's just real awkward, maybe 30 pounds, but it's awkward. It's got this nice foam on top. It's got a nice, cool, see-through top to it. It really looks like a nice unit. Oh, don't want to break it. The first thing I noticed when I was setting it down is it does have rubber kind of isolator feet to where the vibration or any movement in this unit is not going to be transferred to whatever it's sitting on. So let's open it up and take some of this foam out, see what kind of goodies we have inside. Some power cords and some cleaning utensils. Here is the user manual. We have a power 100 to 240 volts, so we're good on the input. Let's pull this out. Ooh. This looks like it is for the airflow. Either pushes clean air or pulls the unclean air. That one's got a nice little jiggle to it too. Wobbly. Good isolation in that. Looks like it's some sort of air tube. Foam, foam, foam. Lots of foam. Now I do want to point out that there is absolutely nothing inside the box outside of the Falcon A1 unit. So everything was packaged inside. Foam on foam on foam on foam. I don't know if I could even get the foam back in. Everything is very clean, very nice looking. Okay, let's look at the user manual. So we need to find English, which is page 1. Download free laser files at CraftSeek. So there are projects and cool things you can download. So there's a community for this. And then we have the operation guides. We have installing software, adjusting focus, G-code project. So let's get rolling. First off, safety. I will read through that off camera. Obviously, I will definitely do that. I'm not lying, I will. Here is your packing list, and it looks to be everything as shown in this image here. All right, so here are the assembly steps. So we're gonna pull out the air pump nozzle. I believe that is right here, and it is a little nozzle looking cone. Connect the silicone tube to the air pump. Pull the nozzle off here and you insert this tube, nozzle. Pull that off, insert the tube, done. Connect the air assist device, install the silicone tube. All right, so here is where we have air pump, and that is what we are connecting. There we go. Then this inserts right there. Okay. Now we install the exhaust pipe with the clamp on the machine's exhaust port. So there's your air hose and there's a clamp right there. And that is going to be on the back side. That's going to be all the way back right here. And the clamp is right here in this little baggie here. And it takes a Phillips screwdriver or a flathead, one or the other. Now, it's not inherently clear where this clamp should sit on this. That definitely holds it tight. So we'll pull that up over the top. Connect adapter power cord. That is going to be that next hole over. All right, so we're gonna route it around back here. And we're gonna plug this one in. Now we should have power at this point. Insert the safety key and turn it on. 2 safety keys come with the unit. Okay, and unlock it, and then that key stays in there. You can't pull it out. Then it says, turn on the rocker switch. Here it is. Hold your breath. Nothing happened. Am I plugged into power? Well, I guess it's on. Yeah, it's got power. Ah, my emergency was depressed. So you have to, if you have trouble turning yours on, pull that back out. There we go, she's alive. So immediately upon pulling that out and hitting the switch, this started going, and there's a lot of vibration to that, which is why it has those isolator mounts. And then I can see the light on the actual laser head come on. It sounds like air's definitely flowing. Yep. So at this point, I think we're good. I'm not sure where the end of my air ducting is supposed to go. Does it just take it away from the unit? Huh. Next step in the manual is instruction for use. Offline operation, online operation. And then we go to maintenance. So there's a little bit of a gap there. So I guess this is set up. Now, let's go look at the computer and see if we can't figure out what we're supposed to do now, because I'm still kind of confused. I have it all set up physically, but I don't know how to use it still. So I jumped on Google and looked up Creality Falcon A1 setup guide. Other than the AI suggestions, I did find this Creality wiki page that seemed like it would be helpful. I clicked on the user manual, that was the first option here. And what it ended up pulling up was an exact copy of the physical manual that's provided with the unit. So I went back, I didn't find anything else on the wiki site, so I looked up the Creality Falcon Design Space software download. So I wanted to stick to the Creality Falcon website, so I clicked on this first one here to download the laser engraving machine firmware. I'm not sure what this did. I did go through and download it with the unit plugged in, so this may be a step that's required, but it was not the software needed to actually operate the machine. So I went back to Google and looked up how to download the Falcon Design Space software for Mac. And after reading the AI suggested tips here, it looks like craftseek.com is where you get the Falcon Design Space software. Took a look at it. It did have a lot of projects and other things, but I noticed at the top there is a software tab that allows for download of the Falcon Design Space. So I scrolled down to the Mac OS option, clicked on it, and we are ready to rock and roll. The download process was rather streamlined. It didn't take long at all. Now at this point, I was curious if I had to have my laptop connected to the laser engraver via a cable. And it looks like here, if you're not electing to connect through the Wi-Fi, you will have to use the USB physical port. Now, after pulling up the Falcon Design Space, it did allow for a couple of options for me to select beginner. So I plugged in my laptop here as it's indicating. I turned the machine on and then I hit the connect button. This process was really more helpful than the manual itself. So anybody who has a Creality A1 Falcon machine, really just get started with that Falcon Design Space. It'll get everything set up for you. So after putting in the basswood board that was provided with the unit, I went ahead and grabbed this little jig for the height spacing, and I adjusted the laser head. Now there's 2 set screws to the right hand side. You can see I just adjusted those, and then you set the laser head on the appropriate height setting per the little tab that's provided. After doing that, I clicked to the next stage, and then I clicked the frame button, which positions the laser head where it needed to be. After doing that, I clicked the test run button, and the laser head started getting to work. It kept flashing and going back and forth like this for a while, and you can see it did produce some smoke during that process. Looks like an F is being produced here, and once it's finished, I pull down this front lid and I take a look at the cool little design that was produced here. So it looks like I have this fully set up. Now it's a matter of creating something or downloading a project to test out. So once you click off of the Canvas tab in Falcon Design Space, indicated by the home button here, there's a lot of options for cool projects to cut out of basswood and other materials for projects you may want to work on. Now, after scrolling through some of the projects, I found this tool holder. It looks like it's for a punch set of varying sizes. I thought that would be useful for some drill bit storage. So I went ahead and tried to download this project here and had some failures. So what I had to do is go in and register for a Creality Design Space account. I ended up using one of my Gmail accounts and it was pretty streamlined. Once I got signed in, I went ahead and hit this download button and everything seemed pretty streamlined up until the prompt that my firmware is out of date for my Creality Falcon A1. So after waiting a few minutes for that firmware to fully download, I went ahead and pulled the project file over the top of my canvas here and it set all of the positioning of the parts to be cut out. Now, I am aware that Creality does suggest that whenever you're doing cutting on 3mm basswood, like I am here, that you use the honeycomb plate specifically for cutting operations. So here is our honeycomb panel, if you want to see what it really looks like. It just helps raise everything up and it looks like you're not going to cut into it. I was really surprised with the fine-tuned cutting capabilities of this machine. Some of the pieces that dropped underneath this honeycomb plate here were pretty small. You can see that even with the honeycomb, the laser shot all the way down to the bottom base plate and did cut into the paint. This little drill bit holder did turn out quite nicely. I did notice that it didn't fully cut through a portion of this project, and all I had to do was use a chisel and tap out the areas that weren't fully cut, and it still worked quite nicely. I went ahead and glued everything together and tested it out with a couple of my drill bits here, and it seemed to work out quite nicely. Now, the main part of this project that I wanted to figure out is how to engrave mild steel so I could create those ID tags that I talked about. So I went ahead and grabbed some mild steel, and I did not have any success with this. It seemed like the laser was just bouncing off. So I tried coating it with this blue Sharpie here just to see if that laser couldn't grab onto it. So I threw that blued steel plate in there and let the laser go to town. Now, after running for a little bit, it looked like it might have worked. I pulled it out and it didn't work again. And so to feel a little bit more successful, I went ahead and started to play with some stencils that I wanted to use for some projects as well. I created this subscribe stencil format here, and I went through and cut it out of the basswood that was provided with the unit. You can see it worked quite well here. I pulled that out. It looked nice enough that I wanted to give it a go. So I grabbed some spray paint, went over to some metal that I'm going to use on a project in the future, and I gave it a few sprays. It did work really well. There was overspray, so I think I need to do it in the middle of a sheet of that basswood in the future. So here's some of the tags that I really liked and wanted to mimic. So I went back and forth between the Falcon Design Space and those images to create one that I was pretty happy with. Now, since the mild steel sheet did not work with this laser engraver, I found out that anodized aluminum really was a great material to make these tags out of. And you can get little dog tags extremely cheap off Amazon in the anodized aluminum material. So I found some dog tag sizes online and I went ahead and drew it up with a similar industrial style look on that dog tag shape, thinking I could use that as my identification tags. So after a few rounds of going between the software, making adjustments, and then going and testing it out on this basswood, I think I really got to a point where the industrial ID tag looked pretty good.
I did have to do some fine tuning on the sizing. As you can see, I cut out one of the tags here, and the actual dog tag itself was quite a bit longer and a little bit taller. So I made those changes, as well as I wanted to make the corners a little bit more rounded to match that perimeter of the dog tag. So I went through and placed the first dog tag down and let the laser engraver go to town. You can see here the tag itself did get shifted up a little bit, as well as a little bit to the right. And so I'm gonna have to do something a little bit better to position the tag relative to the laser starting point. But otherwise, this identification tag looks really cool. I really like how the Texas USA came out with those Mooseworks text. What I ended up doing was using the basswood as a template, and I put a perimeter, just laser engrave into the wood itself. So the laser just defines what that perimeter is, and then I use one of the tags. I position it perfectly centered to that guide that I cut into the basswood, and then I allow for the laser to go through and cut the project identification markings out. I did have to drill a hole in the other side just to allow for 2 placement holes. Project number 6 is my bench vise, which I am extremely proud of, and I use this tool all the time. I tried to find a good location for this tag to sit on this vise, and I finally elected to go in the middle of the side plate there. I feel like it's visible enough that you can really see it, and it should be far enough out of the way that it's not going to get hit up a ton. So I drilled 2 1/8 holes for those rivets, cleaned it up a bit, and put both rivets in for that ID tag. Polished up the tag, and you can see it turned out so nice. I really love how this turned out. It just looks really cool, professional. It has my Mooseworks text on it, and it's just gave me that nostalgic industrial tag look that I was looking for. You can see I did another tag here, which is project number 12. This is my Portaband stand for my Bauer Portaband. I really use this tool a ton. I love it, and so to have a tag on here just to remember that build was really warranted. It looked like the best place was really off to the left-hand side. I don't think it would get hit much, and it really looked nice. I drilled 2 1/8" holes in the correct position. The second hole, it seemed like it was a little bit harder to line up, so I used the tag itself to start the drill, and then I finished it with the tag off to the side. I used my little handheld rivet gun here, popped both rivets into the sides, and you can see this project ID tag turned out great and should last for years. If you enjoyed this video and you think these tags are cool, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button to see my future videos and my past builds, and hit that like button just to help push this video out.